I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. It was here a woman that lived over 100 years ago had a dream. In her dream, she saw an immense ball of fire come down on Nashville, causing instant destruction. Before you brush off or think the dream crazy, let us look at a few other dreams she had and see how they have already come true. In the 1860s, around 100 years before the Surgeon General of the United States revealed the dangers of tobacco use, she said this:
"Tobacco is a slow, insidious, but most malignant poison. In whatever form it is used, it is all the more dangerous because its effects are slow and at first hardly perceptible." Ministry of Healing, page 327.
In the history of the world, no non-essential habit ever got so entrenched so fast. 70 million Americans smoke. Today they got a message from the United States Surgeon General, who has had a blue ribbon committee studying their habit for 14 months.
Out of its long and exhaustive deliberations, the committee has reached the overall judgment that cigarette smoking is a health hazard of sufficient importance to the United States to warrant remedial action.
Over 100 years ago, she was shown and said this about the dangers of meat eating and how it was going to get worse.
Disease is contracted by the use of meat. The diseased flesh of these dead carcasses are sold in the marketplaces, and disease among men is the sure result. 18 MR, page 353.
Consumer Reports is ringing alarm bells this morning over pork safety. A new study shows chops and ground pork may be full of bad bacteria.
But in this case, it does, because it's America's first confirmed case of bovine spongiform encephalitis in 6 years. BSE is mad cow disease, a potentially deadly brain-wasting infection that can be transferred to humans.
In the 1880s, she published what she was shown would happen between Protestants and Catholics, even though they had been at war in some cases for hundreds of years.
Roman Catholics and Protestants shall unite. Great Controversy, page 578.
Because in 1999, the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant Lutheran Church signed an agreement that brought an end to the protest.
It was in 1991 when I started to hear about her quotes given almost 100 years before. It was shown to me and many others that the Twin Towers in New York would one day be destroyed. The following video is what one preacher said in 1999 about the Twin Towers and what would soon happen.
Brothers and sisters, and our only safety is not to get plenty of water for Y2K. Oh, she prophesied it. It's not to get a bunch of food preserved and stored up, but our salvation, my heart, is my heart right with God? I mean, for God to give us such a precious gift, what are we going to tell God? What would we tell God if we are lost? This world is sick, brothers and sisters. The Twin Towers. She saw the Twin Towers in vision in New York, and she saw that something knocked them down. She said it looked as though an angel took a finger and it crumbled into little stones.
On one occasion, when in New York City, I was in the night season called upon to behold buildings rising story after story toward heaven. These buildings were warranted to be fireproof, and they were erected to glorify their owners and builders. Higher and still higher these buildings rose, and in them the most costly material was used. 9T, page 12. The scene that next passed before me was an alarm of fire. Men looked at the lofty and supposedly fireproof buildings and said, "They are perfectly safe." But these buildings were consumed as if made of pitch. The fire engines could do nothing to stay the destruction. The firemen were unable to operate the engines. 9T, page 13. But I have no light in particular in regard to what is coming on New York, only that I know that one day the great buildings there will be thrown down by the turning and overturning of God's power. From the light given me, I know that destruction is in the world. One word from the Lord, One touch of his mighty power, and these massive structures will fall. Scenes will take place the fearfulness of which we cannot imagine. Review and Herald, July 5th, 1906.
Let us now focus on what's coming on Nashville. Let's look at a few of the details that she saw would take place in Nashville. She even talks about a building where the ball of fire would impact and how it would branch out from this building.
While I was in Nashville, a scene was opened before me. A great ball of fire seemed to fall from heaven, and from it went forth flashes of light. When these flashes of light would strike a building, the building would burn like tinder. And then I heard someone say, "I knew that this was coming. These are the judgments of God that I knew were coming." "You knew," said another. "You were my neighbor. Why did you not tell me that these things were coming? Why did you not warn others?" MS 154.
Based on a careful study of the details she gives, it can be shown that no other building in Nashville can fit the dream better than the Parthenon in Nashville's Centennial Park. The ball of fire will branch out from here.
An immense ball of fire that had come from heaven, and it fell where they were casting buildings with pillars. Especially the pillars were presented to me. And it seemed as if the ball came right to the building and crushed it. And they saw that it was branching out, enlarging, and they began to cry and mourn and wring their hands. MS 152.
Many want to know, when is this ball of fire coming down on Nashville? She saw that those that knew it was coming did not know it was coming so soon.
The night before last, a very impressive scene passed before me. I saw an immense ball of fire fall into the midst of some beautiful mansions, causing their instant destruction. I heard some say, "We knew that the judgments of God were coming upon the earth, but we did not know that they would come so soon." Others said, "You knew? Why then did you not tell us? We did not know." On every side I heard such words spoken. Letter 217.
It was in July of 2015, on the 100th anniversary of the death of the woman that had the dream, that her estate released her writings to the public about Nashville. No one knew until 2015. So according to the dream, it must take place soon after July 2015. Some may ask, why is this going to happen? The woman that had the dream makes this statement.
I am instructed that when the Lord's time comes, should no change have taken place in the hearts of proud, ambitious human beings, men will find that the hand that had been strong to save will be strong to destroy. No earthly power can stay the hand of God. No material can be used in the erection of buildings that will preserve them from destruction when God's appointed time comes to send retribution on men for their disregard of His law and for their selfish ambition. 9T, page 13.
Jesus said in John chapter 14 and verse 15, "If ye love me, keep my commandments." And who was the woman that had these dreams? Ellen G. White, the most translated author in history.